So, I got past Toon Critic, everything that I had backlogged. All of it. I got past my crazy ex-girlfriend. Not all of it, mind you. I'd like to keep a couple of tricks up my sleeve. And I even cleared the ponder thing. I mean, as little as I did. Okay, you know what? I feel happier airing my grievances. Once I get past this Lily Pete video, next week, blissful boredom. Sweet, delicious boredom. Oh wait, Commando Solo. Radio edit. Well, there's always next week. I can't imagine what Commando Solo has to bitch about. I cited someone from KP staff. I cited Josh Scorcher. I talked to Lightning Bliss. Oh boy, if you want to throw down Buster Brown, I've heard some things about you that I didn't include last time. Considering I went at length to talk to you about your talent as far as analysis goes, maybe I'm just misunderstanding that I was well cited, I was respectful, and as humanly possible, maybe this isn't about me. Well, I guess next week it'll be this or Mad Munchkin. But on to this week. Some of you guys may have seen a video over on Pete's channel. There's a couple of ways that we can handle this one. So last night, Josh Scorcher attempted to serve Lily Orchid with a legal notice, and Pete responded, "Let's weigh in."
One thing I can say about Josh is that his woeful misunderstanding of the legal system is a wealth of comedy potential. So, story time. In light of experiencing the harsh and severe punishment of fuck all for his endorsement of a pedophile, Josh just cannot abide the indignity of being mocked and belittled on the internet with no tangible consequences being thrown his way. So I woke up to this. This is real. And it's beautiful. Josh is attempting to file a cease and desist order against my criticism, but doesn't seem to understand what a cease and desist order is, or what it's for. This isn't a court order or copyright or trademark notification, it's just a Google Doc that he linked me to. It's not even printed off. He wants me to do that, the lazy little cock.
I have indeed taken a look at cease and desist orders. A cease and desist letter is a document sent to an individual or business to stop perpetual illegal activity, the ceased, and not to restart, desist. The letter may warn that if the recipient does not discontinue specified conduct or take certain actions by the deadlines in the letter, they may well be sued. When issued by a public authority, a cease and desist order letter being a warning of immediate judgment, a warning of impeding judicial enforcement, is appropriately called a cease and desist. Now, a lot of the cease and desists I've seen, C&Ds, are around business. However, there was a link to this site down below. Feel free to check it out for its officialness. Under its use, it does cover intellectual property, harassment, debt collection. You know, I didn't know you could C&D debt collection. So yeah, this has been a learning process. Keep in mind, I am not a practicing man of legal stature. Looking at Josh's C&D, it is a bit rough around the edges. The good news is, or bad news in Pete's case, is that Pete has in fact acknowledged being served with the cease and desist. Of course, well before this video went out, Pete took to Twitter to take the piss out of this C&D. You do understand less is more in this case. Like, the smart thing to do, due to ongoing legal procedures, would be to say I can only tell you so much instead of charging balls out, head first. I mean, who knows? Or, if you really get a summons, they might look back at this current conduct and behavior, and it will look ultimately poor for you in a court of law.
The whole process of flooding Brony D&D and dislikes did exactly what it was supposed to do and pissed the little coward off.
This cease and desist order is to inform you that your persistent actions, including but not limited to twisting my words and speaking lies about my conversation with Patchwork Heart,
the conversation you can listen to right now, and which I was a part of,
deliberately and maliciously placing calls reasonably expected to be in private in a public sphere for the intent of defamation.
There was no expectation of privacy. Me and Josh never once spoke before the recording. That recording is the only time Josh has spoken a direct word to me in the last year and a half. Absolutely nothing about this call being private was in any way agreed upon or expected.
Using your fanbase and friends to send repeated and unrelenting harassment and false flag my videos or videos I worked in, especially the Brony D&D videos as shown below.
This is something Josh is guilty of on numerous occasions, but apparently it's different now that the target is himself.
You literally instructed your fans to flag a video.
Video wasn't taken down for harassment and bullying. Oh, something Lily has some very strong opinions on. And now you're probably thinking, wait, what? She's inciting the very same thing that she lambats that terrible Josh Scorcher for? I mean, come on, guys. She couldn't be doing that. Otherwise, she'd be a total fucking hypocrite. Well, life seems to find a way to bite people in the ass.
Better community member and a better person. He pretends like this is some kind of difficult situation when it's really not, because it's all about laziness. Personally, I'm done giving Josh and the rest of the community the benefit of the doubt, and if he has to be brute forced into getting off his lazy ass, then so be it. So, in the description, you'll find a link to the most recent episode of Brony D&D. Considering the circumstances, it's advised that you report the video for hateful and abusive content, and also maybe leave a dislike and a critical comment. They all really hate that shit despite abusing it at every possible opportunity.
Which YouTube then took down your video because it was found in violation of terms of YouTube's service. If you had an example beyond "I want to defend myself" or "I want this to end," without so much as an email from YouTube to show you received a flag, that would likely have gone a long way. As for expectations of privacy, literally every fucking time I've talked to Josh, he told me not to record him. He made sure to tell me not to record him. Now, if you're telling me that you got impatient because Josh is long-winded as all fuck, hey, I don't ever recall having a quick 5-minute in and out discussion with the man ever, I might buy that. Hell, I might even excuse the fact that you taped it because you were so annoyed that he wouldn't shut the hell up, but since you didn't say that, here we are.
Josh goes on to accuse me of threatening physical harm, and then linking to a Tumblr post where I use the metaphor of holding a gun to his head, which any idiot would understand as a metaphor, but then again, Josh was raised in a conservative household, so I guess language skills are a globalist conspiracy. He claims that I threatened to kill him, and then links to 2 posts where I tell him to drop dead, and doesn't seem to realize that those are not the same thing. He claims I'm guilty of repeated and relentless use of ad hominem attacks against me in public settings, which isn't a crime and isn't even a moral transgression. His link to this is of me comparing him to Hydra Cap. The last one, however, is definitely the best one. He claims I'm stealing his ideas to spite him, and then makes reference to the video every MLP episode reviewed in 10 words or less. You know, the idea that both of us stole from Jello Apocalypse.
As for telling someone to drop dead, this is from the same person when Pinkie Posh was told to kill herself. You called those death threats. But this isn't because reasons. As for Josh talking about stealing ideas, I don't recall ever having seen a court case as far as YouTube goes for this sort of matter. Josh has boosted some themes from That Guys with the Glasses, self-admittedly. So yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one.
I think that since Josh has made plagiarism the core of his brand for so long, he legitimately thinks he owns the things he steals. Or maybe he's just salty that I'm better at it than he is. He then proceeds to try and cite Canadian criminal code, but once again doesn't seem to understand what he's actually citing. He cites section 264 of the Criminal Code of Canada, which reads as follows. Criminal harassment consists of causing someone to feel threatened, does not need to be intentional, including repeatedly communicating with someone, causing them to feel threatened, again, unsafe or fear for the safety of others, and such things as uttering threats and stalking. Now, where Josh fucks up is that I haven't actually uttered any threats or given him any reason to feel threatened for the safety of his person, and the most I've admitted to is making the process of uploading all of his Brony D&D videos until Zach's removal as exhausting as possible.
You did call for his videos to be flagged. This isn't open to dispute. YouTube's decision says as much, unless you're going to state there was another reason why you're currently sitting on a community guideline strike. As for harassment, I myself not being from the Great White North, even if I was a legal expert here, and I caution everyone watching to show caution when weighing in legally, from what I've seen in C&Ds, the fact it was so poorly done that Pete isn't taking it legit again might give Josh a second run at it, make a more polished, legally sound document. Because as it stands, at best, the court is certainly going to give him a bemused look.
Video and dislikes and negative comments is not actually criminal harassment, and Josh knows this because he's tried to do this on multiple occasions. Also, Josh, you know you can turn both of those things off, right? Right? Or are you just too proud to do that? He then claims he has the right to remain free from negative blowback for his actions, which he doesn't. He's also claimed that he's heard about me spreading false and destructive rumors about him, those rumors being that he bullied Patch into relenting about Brony D&D, which he did, that he said wildly racist things when I was working for him, and me stopping him from doing that was the reason he fired me, that I said he was a fake Marine, which I didn't actually say, and my actual statement was that his lack of experience in the military from his entry-level position cast his words in severe doubt, and that he was a fake Christian.
Okay, how is that a fake Christian? And whether I agreed with your statement here or not, it is kind of an opinion. I might make fun of you for stating that Pete knowing about Christians makes about as much sense as Vita knowing about dental hygiene. That remark, however, doesn't do Josh any favors. As for guard break,
he was in the Marine Corps' band, the ceremonial I'm helping of most military branches, and to presume some kind of genuine authority out of that is to claim that the children who participate in the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets have any kind of genuine military experience.
Now, technically, neither of these are exactly on point word for word.
Burner was paid for 5 years to do what children do for free, and often do better, and is the personification of what my 3-time veteran grandfather dehumanizingly calls a bill brat.
Josh isn't entirely all that off. You made a couple of jumps, a couple of leaps, and a fair amount of stretches. And you're still doing your hocus pocus right now as we speak. But is it illegal if Pete ever goes to court and gets under oath? Some of these razzle-a-dazzle tactics just won't cut it there.
He then says that I must immediately stop any and all mention of him or projects that he is involved in. This right here betrays the real reason for doing this. You see, Josh hasn't actually suffered any damages from any of this. He claims he's going to seek monetary damages, but those monetary damages amount to fuck all. He's shown only growth over the last few months and has only had to endure the indignity of being mocked for his stupidity.
Now, I haven't kept up super duper recently, but I do know, in lieu of drama, Josh did see some gains. Patreon-wise, I haven't eyeballed it nonstop, but at the time of the script it was $1,500. I mean, that's not that bad, right? One of the elements of defamation is to show financial loss. Again, not a lawyer. Maybe it's different in Canadian law. Fuck Guru Larry, the man who's the only man left at Channel Awesome, is making $400 less than Josh at the time of the script. I mean, what am I supposed to say here?
His reputation only suffers in the eyes of people who give a shit, and it's the Brony community, so that isn't much. This is another example of Josh not being able to abide consequences, even trivial, inconsequential consequences. I've talked about it before, but Josh can't handle the fact that his actions have consequences, and he desperately needs to find some way to refuse to change his behavior and have nobody complain about it. That's what Josh believes he's entitled to do what he wants and nobody can say boo to him. It's part of the right-wing fantasy of taking no responsibility for his actions that repeatedly shatters when he has to interact with other human beings.
So, I've hit Josh. And if we go minute by minute on a wider scale, I don't have a cease and desist order against me. Fuck, I hang out with Drake Vagabond and That Creepy Reading, 2 people who work with Josh, or friends thereof. Josh gives collabs to people either I've been cool with or still am. I mean, I'd still love a podcast, but at this point, the only reason why, at this point, I'd still want that podcast is just so I could say I won, literally. Which is, ironically enough, exactly why he won't give it to me. So yeah, I've been friends with people like Digibro and Rhino Reno Mills who both mock Josh on occasion. And to the best of my own knowledge, they've never been C&D'd. Geez, it's almost like someone who has maintained a steady line of online tedium against someone right or wrong gets tossed to C&D.
I don't believe I will ever see the inside of a courtroom over this. That carries too much of a risk to Josh himself. He seems to think that this will not be fought, that he can file a defamation suit and immediately win. But the reality is that this will most definitely be fought, especially since Josh has actually tried to defame me numerous times, going as far as to distribute child pornography on Twitter that he grabbed from likely any random story off FimFiction and claiming Lily made that, trust me. Josh, you have spent your whole life hiding from consequences. I would love to let this go to a courtroom and become the consequences.
Hey, don't mind me, I'm just going to watch at this point. I know on Twitter you likened yourself to Jim Sterling and Josh to Digital Homicide. Problem is, Jim alluded to his court cases being a massive financial burden on himself, and Jim roughly brings in $10,000 every month. Jim Sterling hired a real lawyer and if Jim is to be believed, Digital Homicide winged it, and publicly, you're gonna do just fine. Publicly. Hell. I'd even say this first round goes to you, Pete. That said, there's a lot of crap that just isn't gonna fly in a court of law that you've been doing here.
but I doubt that this will actually happen. Here's what I think will actually happen. Josh will hastily backpedal from this, or the reality of filing a spurious lawsuit will scare him off, and he'll make a show about dropping the charges and turning the other cheek in a hasty attempt to save face, because this is what he always does in these situations, and the majority of his audience is stupid enough to buy it. And if I'm wrong, Josh, feel free to sue me. Also, you're a fake Christian and that beard makes you look like a predator.
Okay, before some of Josh's fans reply, he said that the beard makes you look like a predator, an important distinction between asserting you are one. Assuming this is going to court, Josh is in fact gonna have to check his emotions at the door. He's gonna have to be super fucking critical, even more so than I or anyone else is of what he is alleging. A judge isn't going to be your fan, and that's going to go double for Lily into this thing. You two knuckleheads won't be able to vaudeville your way into this thing into going your way. Now, why I do appreciate a well-needed laugh myself, if Josh can do as good as Digital Homicide, Lily, just remember, you don't have Jim Sterling money. I'd consider settling. Ta-ta! P.S. I'm not sure if this was in the C&D or not, but I've been told by a source close to Josh that he takes issue with you calling him an alt-right mouthpiece. I've never exactly gotten a hard, fast definition of what the alt-right is, but pretty much I'm sure that this definition I'm about to give here is what many people assume. So let's read this off. The alt-right, or the alternative right, is a loosely connected or somewhat ill-defined group of white supremacists, neo-Confederates, neo-Nazis, neo-fascists, and other far rights, fringe hate groups. Seeing as the group that ran the website was liberal, let's take that with a grain of salt, so I looked up what it's defined as according to the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. And keep in mind, I'm not pure white, so do take Jer with a good old grain of salt when he tries to call me a Nazi for giving this definition. The alternative right, commonly known as the alt-right, is a set of far-right ideologues, groups, or individuals whose core belief is that white identity is under attack by multicultural forces such as political correctness and social justice to undermine white people and their civilization. So, to paraphrase Mr. Medicare, those people who used to go on Geraldo or Oprah, and we all used to get a good laugh at those people back in the day. But for now, whatever reason, they're scary, even though the laws that we had from 20 years ago were significantly weaker than the ones that we have today. Maybe we don't have these talk shows anymore. I don't know, I haven't really kept up with TV. I've never talked to Josh about anything white. Not that I could imagine he'd wax on about that to someone like me, especially someone he doesn't get along with, about being white to someone who's not entirely pure white. But honestly, I'd be pretty fucking surprised. I can't imagine alt-righters hanging out with someone so candy-ass. But again, just me. Next week, Commando Solo. See ya.